Hey guys, it's Jesus again, and today we're gonna go over the Yelpish app. So the Yelpish app is a directory of businesses, right? And there are a bunch of things that you can do starting from this template. This is my favorite template because it allows you to do a lot of things. This is like the most basic template in Glide. So let's jump right in. So in this template, so let's see your data. So we have an About tab that I'm gonna use in a moment. That's not in the template. We'll have a users tab, our items. Our items tab are the businesses, but I don't know why I named it items. Send message tab, interested tab, it's empty, and then the categories. Okay, so let's go to our layout. So remember the new layout in Glide, we have our tabs menu here on the top left, our screen bottom left, and our settings on the right. Okay, so we have 4 tabs, and then we have the admin tab on the menu. So in this case, pretty simple setup. The listings tab is pointing to the items tab. Okay, and this is built. This is a list, just a list. So this inline list that I have here in my left sidebar, and then I click that, and my settings open on my right. So in this case, I have the card style, and I'm bringing over a bunch of details. So if we go to our sheet, to our items tab, we have, let's add a row ID. I think all tables, all tabs in your Go sheet or your Glide tables, whatever you're using, should have a row ID, just as best practices. Um, so, okay, we have a row ID here. We have an address. It's a full address. Yeah. Yeah, here we just see the first line, but we have everything here. Name, we have picture for some. We have a category. We have tags. I just added them for, I don't remember why. Oh, we can do a cool thing here. We have a description, the favorites tab, that's why it's purple, the owner's email, and the cell phone, right? So if we go to our phone, right? We have our listings tab, it's an inline, it's a list, and then cards. And then in cards, remember we tell Glide how we want each column to behave. So we'll bring over the image column and show it as an image, the header, the tags that I have here as header, actually this stays spam message. The title for name, the details, description, the image is a URL, image shape square, we can change the size. I mean, you already know how to do this. Nothing important here. Okay. Then we click on any of this, and then we have here our screen, how this screen is built. And if I click data, we will see that specific row, right? So remember, when we're here, we're looking at a list of data. So on a list of data is the items tab, right? All of the items, all of the businesses. But when we click on any of this, we are looking at that specific row. And if I click data here in my left sidebar, I am looking at that data, right? So row ID, that's not showing anywhere, right? Then we have an address, that's here. Then we have a name, we have an image, we have a category, we have a bunch of things. But how we use that data and build this screen is here with the components. So we have our image, name, description, separator. Then I have this text that says your reviews comment. So this is not pointing to any column in my sheet. It's just whatever text I want. Then we have comments. So Tara here added a comment, another separator. Then we have the message button, the phone, address as text, and address as map. So actually, let's use some of the new components that we have in Glide. Let's change these things. So instead of having send message here and these 2 buttons, let's delete this. Actually, I'm going to start here. I will delete the phone, and I will add a bunch of floating buttons, actually 2 floating buttons. So we have this floating button. Let's find a phone. like this call, right? So the action will be call dial phone number, pointing to the cell phone. Let's add another one. We can just click copy here for the floating button. Oh, just let's name it. This will be phone. Then we'll have this other button, text. And then let's find a text icon. Maybe one of this text, right? So instead of dial, it'll be text. Where do we have that? Compose text message. And then message, I'm gonna leave it empty. So you just click it in your phone, and then it'll open your messaging app, your text messaging app, right? I'm going to leave this because this is a form. We're going to come back for this. Another thing that we don't have that a lot of users want is ratings and reviews. So let's build that right now. Instead of opening my Google Sheet, I will add a glide table that works the same way as a Google Sheet. And here we'll have unique ID, which will be the row ID of the business. Then we'll have, let's say, name, so that we see clearly. Then we'll have rating. This will be a number from 1 to 5, right? And then let's say a rater, so the user who's rating. And then let's add another, there'll be a review. And let's add a timestamp. Date, timestamp. We don't care about the time. Let's just date only. There we go. So we're here, and then we want to allow users to rate this business. So the first thing, that's a form, right? So let's add a button. So form button. Here we go. Rate. I think I have another video in my app that where I do this. Anyway, show form, rate, and review. So when you click this button, it opens a form, right? The destination sheet will be the ancient potato one, the table that we just created using glide tables, right? And then we have these components. So let's So users are just going to add the review and the rating. So let's find the stars thing. What's the name? Rating. So the rating will point to the rating, max 5 stars. The review points to the review column. And then we want to add screen columns. So the row ID, and the row ID should point to the unique ID so that we know which business they're rating, right? Then the name, so that you guys can see. I mean, the row ID, we don't know what that means, but the name we do. Then we have user profile column. We want their email. So whoever's rating, we want their email, and we want a timestamp. So that is current date and time. Actually, this is a special value user's email address. This will be the rater. There we go. Okay. So let me be myself. So I'll give them 4 stars. This place is great. Submit. So right now there's a rating linked to Charlie's Cheesecakes Works, but it's unrelated. Like those things live in different places. So we have here our rating, right? But we have to relate this back here. So we have covered relations in a bunch of videos, but let's build that. So remember, a relation is when you have the parents and the kids. So the parent will be, like in this case, the restaurant, the business. And each business can have a bunch of kids, right? A bunch of ratings. So we do a multiple relation between the kids that are many and the parent, which is one. Previously, in technical terms, IT terms, it was called a master-slave relationship. So there's one master and there are a bunch of slaves. It's the same way these relations work. So we'll build this relation to ratings. It'll be a relation, and then we'll find the row ID. So we want to find matches between the row ID here in our businesses tab and over there in the Asian potato table, which is our reviews tab. So UUID, and I will match multiple. So you can see here, if I move my face, there's Charlie's Cheesecake has one review. Doesn't matter what string of text you find here on the gray thingy, there's one match. So now that we have that review over in our items tab, I can show it here. So written review, and then I can add an inline list. And by default, glide will point it to the relation. And then the title will be ratings and reviews, right? And then we don't want to show again the name because we don't care about the name. We already are at Charlie's, but let's say maybe timestamp. The details will be the review, and yeah, no caption, no image. And then like this. Then it's right under our button here, but I don't want users to click it. I just want users to see that rating. So let's go to Charlie's. We have our inline list here. And then an action, none. I don't want users to click the ratings. Here we go, relation, action, none. There we go. So if I click this, nothing happens. I will just see the ratings. I don't want an image though. So let's make it cards. There we go. This looks nice, right? So we already created it. So let's run review again. 2 stars. It was okay. Submit. And then we have these 2 ratings. What I could also do is limit the number of ratings per user, right? That's a good idea. Maybe we don't want users to rate multiple times the same business. So I will hide this button. I will set up a visibility condition for this button, right? So the condition will be that so let's do the relation first. In our users tab, I want to bring over to my users tab all the ratings that each user has created. So how do we do that? We already have the rater in our ratings table. We have the rater, right? So I find my email address here, and I find my email address, of course, in my users tab. So let's make a relation between those two. So this will be a relation to reviews. It'll be a relation, and it'll find my email in the Ancient Potato Rater match multiple. So my email has already rated Charlie's Cheesecake. So let's go back here, and then this rate and review button, I can hide it. So user, actually, we are missing something else. Let's do a lookup. Users, and then we will do a lookup. So this will go through the relation to reviews and bring over the unique ID of the business that I'm looking at. So again, written review, options, show component when, actually, no, this is a mistake. It's a mistake. Yeah, let's do it over here. Actually, no. So we can do this. Lookup rater. We already have in our items tab in our businesses, we already have a relation to the reviews, right? So we can find who has reviewed that business, and then rater. So you can see that Charlie has been rated by these two users. Okay, so let's go back. Let's find our button, rate and review button, and then show component when the lookup isn't the signing user, right? So as you can see, the button is no longer showing up for me. That means that show component when the lookup rater is not the signing user. So when my email hasn't already rated and reviewed this business. So I can go back and I can find another business. I can see the rate and review business, but as soon as I create a review, that button will be hidden from me. I no longer can rate and review this business because I have already done so. Okay. Then, okay, so in this template, we are also allowing users to create new listings. Here, I'm in my main tab again, in my list. And when I click here, add form, I am allowing users to add items. Right now, there are no conditions. I could add conditions, but not in this case. So anyone can create a business, like a business listing. In your case, you can limit them by, I don't know, if your user is a paid user or whatever. Then we have our maps. So our map tab is the same thing as a listing tab. It's looking at the same tab, but we're just formatting in a different way. In the listings tab, we have an inline list with cards, right? And then on the maps tab, we have a map, and the default view is the list, but it could also be the map, whatever you want. So remember that you have a limit for map. I think it's 10 under free apps. That's why we have this message, right? So it's the same thing, and then when you click on this, it opens the business listing, and the details view is the same on both tabs, right? Then we have our messages tab. So just like the rate and review, this is just a form, right? So let's say that I want to get in touch with redemptions. So I click the send message, and then I have we will create a new row in the send message tab, okay? And then we have, just like the rating and review, we have a text entry component, like a free form. And then columns, we want the user's email address, the current date and time, the unique ID, and the recipient's email. In this case, we are bringing two emails over to the send messages tab. My email, because I'm creating the message, and the recipient's email, which is the business owner's email, right? So if I go to my data, to my items tab, you can see that here I have owner's email, right? So that means that Parampoli is owned, was created by p@gmail.com. So I want both my email and that user's email in my form. So send message to eat there. Then I click submit. What we could do, we could go a step further, which would be cool. And when you click the send message tab, here you see that on submit. Right now, the only action is show notification. So that when I send the message, it says success or something. No, sent, okay? But we could also have something else. So here we could navigate a tab. The tab will be the messages tab, right? So I send a message, and then instead of just showing sent and sending me back to the business listing, it actually goes to the new tab, to the tab where all of my messages are, which makes more sense. So I click submit, and then I go to my messages tab. And then I have all of my chats here, right? So how is this screen built? Name of sender. It's a title component that has my name and the timestamp. Then we have the text. Let's enter it. That is the initial message. And then we have the comments component pointing to the unique ID of that chat. So in this case, only those two users, the recipient and the sender, will be able to see these messages. And then using the comments component, they will chat back and forth, right? We have our profile. Actually, this is pretty simple. We are not requiring users to create a profile. There's nothing you can do in this template by creating a profile. And then we have the admin tab. So the admin tab is empty. We have a visibility condition that will show the tab when is admin is admin. So how do we have that configured? We go to our users tab. We have this, actually, let's change it. Admin, and let's make it a Boolean column with a checkbox. That's better. So in this case, I am the admin, right? So let's do something cool. Let's say that in your app, anyone can create a business listing, but those business listings won't show up until you approve them, right? So in this case, the plus sign here, add form, allow users to add items. Anyone can add items. And then their name, their address, their description, whatever. But we could filter what we show here so that the admin has to approve those listings, right? So let's say that we create an approved column. It'll be a checkbox. Boolean means true or false, right? And then let's approve all, well, most for businesses. There we go. So we have a bunch of approved businesses, right? So in this case, we will filter, so only approved businesses will show up. This is like a way for you to, when you're selling access to your app, you're selling a subscription maybe, then only approved businesses will show up. So how do we do that? Just like this. So options, and I'm going to add a filter that approved is true. Okay, so now only these few businesses have been approved. Now, who is approving the businesses? The admin, right? So here on my hamburger menu, I have the admin tab. The admin tab will show tab when admin is true. So when the user that is logged in is an admin. So here, users, admin is true, right? So I will preview this as myself. So the admin tab shows up for me, right? And then the admin tab is a checklist style list, right? And then we have the title as the name, the details, and then the check value, we want to make it the approved tab, right? So in this case, as an admin, I am seeing everybody here on my admin tab. Free users here will only see the approved businesses because I am filtering the businesses that show up here, and only the approved businesses will show up. But the approved checkbox is only available to me as an admin. So here in my admin tab, let's say that Bossman's Pizza already paid their subscription to my app. So I just click this checkbox. Remember, this checkbox is pointing to the approved column, right? And then I'll click redemption as well. They both paid. So I go back to the listings and they, what's that, redemption there, right? So pretty simple way to condition visibility based on approval by the admin. There's one final thing that I want to do, which is the category step. In this case, you're just looking at all of the listings, right? And then you can filter those by category using the filter, the in-app filter that you'll configure here in Glide options, and then filter by category, right? But let's say that we want to have like a two-level deep screen where we see the main categories and then we see the businesses that belong to that category instead of using the filter up here. So let's create a new tab that we'll name categories. So let's go to our data. In our data, I do have a categories tab, right? So I have here the type: restaurant, retail, beauty and spa, bakeries and cafes, and health. I have an image. Let's change those images. Splash, restaurant, then retail. You can upload your own files or use Unsplash. Bakery, and health. Okay, so we have our categories there. I already have a relation here. When you copy the template, it's already here, right? I have a relation to items. So in my items tab, in my businesses, each of them has a category. So I have in my categories tab, I have a relation to my items that is finding the type and then going to items and bringing, it's matching multiple, it's bringing over all the businesses that have that category, right? And then I have a description for my category and I have a lookup that's bringing over the name of the business point through this relation, okay? So categories, let's make it tiles. So it's a list of data. The source is the categories tab. Right, so in our categories tab, we have there's like 5 or 6, 5 values, 5 rows. So let's do here tiles, and then let's change the orientation. Let's make it huge. The tile is type. I don't want any details here. Large text. And then a caption, I can have a description. Looks good. Yeah, it looks good, right? I don't want to have a search bar. How do I change this? Inline list, options, show search bar, no search bar. Okay. And then by default, Glide already does this by default. So when I click here on the health, I already have something configured. I have a title component that's bringing over the image of the category, right? I have a text component that's bringing over the description of the category. And then I have an inline list that's a relation to my items, to my businesses. So only the businesses that match the health category will show up here. And then the image will be image, the header will be, maybe tags, the name will be name, description will be description, ding, ding, ding. There we go. Okay. Let's add a spacer here. So divider, space, separator. Duplicating this, moving this up here. Okay, this looks clear, right? So we have our health image and all the businesses that belong to that category. If I go back to my restaurants tab, I have again the logo, the image for the category and all of the businesses that match that category. If I click that inline list, I could also filter my data for approved businesses only, right? So approved is true. So in this case, both, like, yeah, those 3 restaurants are approved. So yeah, I think this was important because this way you can have like your main categories. If you have a lot of listings, your main categories, and then inside you have your businesses. That's it with the Yelpish app. Hope you like it. If you have any questions, let us know. Have a great day.